Actually, I do plan to sign on to the bill today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
House Bill 76.
Good.
But we sign on, I have to sign on to the Senate bill because I'm not in there. Yeah. But let me explain what the delay was and the reasons for the decision to sign on. First, my district was changed, so I needed to go out and talk to people in the district. You understand, a large part of my district remains the same, but now I'm going all the way from Phoenixville and Wayne, straight through on the Route 30 corridor, the Lancaster border, and then doing much of southern Chester County as well. Carrera. And I know the district for my 14 years as county commissioner, but that wasn't mine. That was Tom Senator Pileggi's district.
We can tell you, Carrera School District is one of the highest tax districts in Chester County, and the other districts in southern Chester County are also high.
Oh, absolutely, because what we know as fact is that the less of a tax base, the poorer the district is in terms of taxable property, meaning commercial, meaning very expensive homes, the higher is going to be your rate of taxation. In Pennsylvania, the poorest boroughs, for example, have the highest taxes because there's nothing left to tax. So in order to support the schools, you have to continue to go up on the people who are paying the tax.
Well, unfortunately, in the Coatesville district, Coatesville, which is basically the sinkhole in the district, they still only had a 0.5%. They had the same tax rate as everybody else, but the municipal tax is way up, which makes it really difficult for people to move in there.
But even Westchester Area School District, you're seeing now with the school board coming on, they are concerned about their taxes. They've never had to worry about that. They've always had low property taxes. Even that's going to be a problem.
No, there's no question, and we want to get into that as well in a second. But the first thing was to have some conversations, which I've had over the last week. Because what people are on me in some of southern Chester County is they're on the border with Delaware, and they were concerned about a 1% additional sales tax. But after enough discussions, it's not going to make much difference. Whether you're paying 7% or 8% is not going to be the basis of whether you go to Delaware anyway. And most people go to Delaware for their large purchases, and yes, you said it well. And you're not going to have a state cop on sitting on every road seeing who's coming back with everything anyway. It's impossible.
Even if the disposable income back from the property tax going away, you don't have any reason to do it.
Precisely. In fact, that's a very good argument that I never thought about.
I sent you a Facebook message last night.
No, I haven't, and we haven't answered any of the messages on 76 because, and I did have conversations with Senator Argyle, Senator Schwank, and others and Senator Udichuk who were working on it.
Are there any other senators who are coming on board today?
I don't know. You have one anyway. You're up to 24 now, so all you need is two more.
Two more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So one reason for delay was because, it's a new district. You have to talk to people. You can't, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know what, the last time I was in there was 7 years ago when I was county commissioner. The second thing was, I wanted to make sure that this would end up revenue neutral. And it appears from what I've been checking into yesterday, that it will be, if not revenue neutral, certainly close enough. By that I mean, you don't want a situation where you're going to significantly hurt the public schools. Right. You can argue one way or the other, but we don't have to worry if it's revenue neutral. Yes, sir.
Actually, the bill provides for a surplus.
Yeah, there's three separate studies that they showed. One says you lose, and one, I think the third one might be, but the realtors are doing one, so I get the studies all confused. One says there's a surplus. One says there's a loss. But the third and most reputable one says it comes out close enough, even if not precisely.
The independent fiscal office originally showed a loss.
Correct.
Because we had to make an adjustment to one area.
But now they show it coming out close enough.
In fact, it might be a little bit more. We actually think we're going to have to lower the earned income
Well, part of the problem is what you're dealing with is trying to figure this out in the future and also dealing with inflation and another number of other issues. I also, to add some cement to this mixture, I have a bill in that would raise the Marcellus shale tax and use it for the purpose of property tax relief. So what would happen then is what you're saving by getting rid of the property tax with the sales and income tax, with the money that comes in from gambling and with money that could come in from Marcellus shale, what you have is a protection when it's times of where your people aren't just not buying things.
Is that a Marcellus shale tax just on the state-owned land?
No, it would be Marcellus shale's tax it would be the same Marcellus shale tax, it just raises it at 1%. And you could argue and debate it. We have the lowest one of any state in the union. And the truth of the matter is, the gas from West Virginia, Ohio, and it all gets intermixed when it comes through here. So, without arguing that tax out. But the purpose of that was to add something else to the mix so that just to strengthen it. You know, but that will never pass anyway because the Marcellus Beach shale
We
people
all know
won't let
what
it pass.
this is. I guess the main thing, Senator, is how do we get this out of committee?
Well, that's what we're going to go into next. Is in Finance Committee.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
In the Senate.
I mean, we all
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what it
yeah,
stands
that's
for.
right.
All right. Here's what happens. This is a very strange place where a number of interests usually prevail against the interests of the citizens of the Commonwealth, as if you didn't know that. Now,
We don't have the money they do.
that's part of it. And so what will happen is this. You're getting the members, but the leaders aren't there yet, all right? And understand that even if you get it out of a finance committee, no bill will be called up, even if there are 49 senators to support it without the majority leader calling up the bill. So you do have to get to Dom, who has still, right now he represents southwestern Chester County.
Senator Blinken.
Senator Pileggi. I'm taking over a lot of his district because he had some problems in the last election, I think, in southwestern Chester.
Actually, you would have problems because I think it was some of our guys that caused the problems.
Well, it's fine. Listen, on many issues, you're going to find me that if there are Tea Party groups, anyone else, I'm very happy to come to the group, be beat up and defend any position I have to defend, but my job is to go and hear you. I'm the only one in the Senate now fighting the required exams from Common Core.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, you came to our meeting when our own state rep would even come to our meeting.
Well, most of the meetings I've gone to that have come from the Tea Party side, I'm the only one who comes.
I'll give you a little more ammunition that maybe you can help convince Mr. Pileggi. This bill, you're familiar with the PDE 2028 forms?
I am.
Okay. I pulled the 2028 forms from all the school districts in Chester County, Montgomery County, and a number of other counties surrounding the area. And it would put, and I pulled the money that would be returned to the taxpayers, not including the earned income tax, because that's just going to move over to the state. It would put $1 billion back in the pockets of the homeowners and property owners in Chester County.
Well, that's the key. That's the key. You know, your argument to get ending the property tax and the way you're doing it has a twofold argument in your favor. One is you're putting the money back into pockets. That equals out some of the problems with an increase in the sales tax.
But we've had this same solution
Well, but
for years.
you're going to have to just get more vocal. I don't know how much more vocal you can get, but you're just going to have to get more vocal. Maybe you have to sit out, maybe you have to do what other groups do and sit with signs outside of legislators' offices. Maybe you have to go and ask them when they're at a meeting on another topic. I mean, you're not, I mean, other groups do this all the time to me. I accept it as part of their right. I accept it as, hey, everyone has a right to beat me up. But the point is, you're dealing with forces that have a great deal of money. And you have to equal it out with your tenacity, with your voice, and with your strength. And your strength comes in the numbers, because you're not going to equal the money of some of these other individuals, all right? And the only way we'll ever really reform all this is to end this whole thing of put some limits on campaign contributions anyway. But that's a whole nother topic. So all I'm saying to you is it doesn't matter whether Senator Pileggi, it doesn't matter whether Senator Scarnati, it doesn't matter whether it's House Speaker Terzai, or even the Democratic Minority Leader Dermody or Costa. Your responsibility or task is to convince them. Now, politics are really very simple. Everything comes down to a bottom line in all of our lives. If I'm in business, the bottom line is making a profit. If I'm really a good teacher, the bottom line is getting all my students to pass. In politics, the bottom line is getting reelected. And so most politicians aren't going to care if people come to see them who aren't in their district and who aren't registered. So what you really do is have to organize in those key districts, whether it be in finance, whether it be leadership, or whether it be senators who you're trying to convince, organize in those key districts and let them hear from the constituents. Emails are one thing. Make appointments, insist on coming in to visit. If you can't get appointments, just sit there until they see you. Someone has to see you eventually. Or even if they know that there's no secret if 5 people show up in the office, and someone of my staff say, 5 people came in today to talk about so and so. But the key is the people from that district. So how do you win? Now, remember, all the districts have changed. So what you want to do is get the most recent map so you know what the districts are, and make your chart, and then go visit there. This is a little different because you might have groups organized in certain parts of the county now that have new people, all right? Both in the State House and the State Senate. Also, understand Chester County itself has changed. It's competitive now. When I was Democratic chair back in the 70s, I never dreamed I could get here. But it was late 70s, early 80s. It was 2.7 Republicans to every Democrat. The difference now is only 22,000. Delaware County, the center of old-style politics, Republican politics power, it just went Democratic.
Sure.
So what I'm saying is use it. And the fastest growing segment is not the Democrats or Republicans in Chester County, it's independents. Is the biggest independent constituency in the state.
Have you talked with Senator Pileggi and?
I haven't talked to him about this issue.
So you don't know?
I have no idea what he's thinking on this issue. I do know he had a bill in at one time which was trying to provide protection for elderly people and using Keno money to pay for it or whatever.
And that's nothing but a generation more older.
That's a problem. We've been getting thrown too many bones, and
Yeah.
people are losing their homes.
If I might interrupt,
Yes.
a couple of points. You had mentioned visiting with the Tea Parties and things, and just to
But
let
this
you
isn't
know.
even Tea Party, this is across the board.
Right, exactly. We came up on a bus that were Republicans, Democrats,
Of course.
old, young, different racial backgrounds.
Oh, there's no question.
And the other thing is
No
also two requests. If you're signing on the bill, we thank you for that. You are a hero.
Well, the Pottstown Mercury was in here, and I explained to them why I'm signing on, and they are sister paper to local, so I presume we'll get into Chester County papers.
Would you be willing to do that?
If
We'll let everybody know.
I will try to do it. Our session starts at 1, and so if I can get out of there even just to come by and say to Argall or to Schwenk to add my name on at that moment in time and then go back into the session.
Also, would you be able to...
Where is it? In the rotunda?
I think it'll be outside.
Outside.
Oh, out here.
Yeah.
Good day.
Would you be able to put something up on your, on a newsletter or on your webpage?
We'll put it up on Facebook by tomorrow. It's just,
Absolutely.
today is
That would be
totally overwhelming, but because of some other issues.
Okay.
One of the issues, so you know, that with these new Common Core requirements, the problem is not just Common Core, though, and I could say, hey, Common Core, I'm not going to fight it, you might disagree, but the real problem, and by the way, you can also make the case that that we didn't align Pennsylvania to standard, we didn't align Common Core to Pennsylvania standards, we aligned Pennsylvania standards to Common Core. So, I mean, the point is, I understand the objections to Common Core, but the real concern that I have, since I don't object to that curriculum, what I object to is the expense that's going to come from the required test. You know, no student can graduate now without taking 3 required tests. The cost right now for the state on this testing is $65 million a year. It's going to go up. And what's going to happen is that this will end up being the largest unfunded mandate in the history of the Commonwealth. From what I can estimate, it's at least $300 million that will be put onto the school districts. Now, the poorer your district, the more students who aren't going to get passed, all right? Oxford has a greater number in Octorara students not passing than does Tredyffrin in Easttown or does, say, Great Valley, all right? So you're the ones who are going to get hit with the hardest tax because it's an unfunded mandate.
But as you know, House Bill 76 eliminates all of that.
That's right. But what I'm trying to say is before that happens, you know, you still, what I think we need to do, and any support you do, and make sure your senators and other representatives know there, that when they're dealing with these Common Core tests, you can state your objection to Common Core, but also, and as I say, I don't object to the Common Core, what I object to are the exams and the unfunded mandate. Each of these people ran for office opposing unfunded mandates. And to have legislation that creates unfunded mandates is just wrong. But beyond that, we hope, because so the answer to the question you asked, how do you get it passed? You get it passed by going to those senators, just like you're doing today, in high numbers, in making your case, but the focus is on the people who live in that senator's district, all right? For example, I had West Goshen now, or East Goshen, now Senator Pileggi has East Goshen. Senator Pileggi had Oxford and Octorara. I cover all of Octorara and Oxford now, which I like. I mean, I happen to, you know, I grew up on a farm, so I like the rural areas that go around parks.
When did that take effect?
That takes effect technically in the on December the 1st, 2014. But in terms of what we are doing, it's already in effect. Because let me explain it this way: there's a group of people who have to run in 2014, so they want to get into their new districts, so at least have a presence. You say, I don't run again until 2016. I won, I ran last. So what you want to do, it seems to me, your focus should be, even though technically the new districts aren't there, if what we all care about is the bottom line, and the bottom line is getting reelected, you'll focus on the new district. Because if I get a letter from West Goshen, yeah, I care, because I know the people in West Goshen, I still represent them. But they're not voting for me next time. You guys who live down there aren't voting for me. And so that's what I'm trying to say. And it is bipartisan. I just bumped, one of the people who came to see me earlier is Judy Porter, who was the Democratic leader around the Franklin Township and New London Township. So it is, I know it's done, and it certainly represents all groups, all ethnic groups, all racial groups. It's a problem. Again, remember, the poorest areas are the areas that get hit the worst. And the schools are, We can cut some from the schools, but they're down to the bone in many situations. And in truthfulness, there's over 14,000 less teachers and school personnel than there were 3 years ago.
If you look at the tweets that are in the news,
Right.
part of that tweet says we're cutting 23 teachers on this day, probably another section, and then we're talking about 2 more.
Well, what happens is the teachers get cut, the administrators keep adding on, and they're the ones getting in the 6-figure salary. And you have all kinds of situations there. You know, you have people who retire out of the system, and you think they're over. Then they get a job in an IU in which they're able to continue their pension buildup. So there's lots of things.
We have teachers in our district that don't get homework and don't even teach. They just throw the balls out there in a phys ed class, and they've been doing that for years. And yet we're paying for these guys, and we need to get rid of tenure so that these districts can cut funding so that we can cut when we need to cut.
There are a lot of issues out there, and you know, and some which we'll all agree on, some which we have to have better systems of evaluation, that's for sure. And some we don't agree on, but the key point is, how do we get this through since we agree on it? And the way you get it through is you go to the new district, you make a chart based on the new district. It's all, this stuff should all be in the computer somewhere, and you go to visit those senators, you write letters to them, and you know, make these individualized. You know, what will happen is we'll get these cards, say, and there'll be 100 of them that say all the same thing. And then I said, well, all this group did was ask someone to sign the card. And you know, they did nothing else. Even the address comes out. But individualize it, even if it's a form letter, individualize it. Say, you know, I live in your new district and I vote, and this is a very important issue for me and for my family. Or, you know, or I want to keep my house, and I am now threatened by this. Put it threatened because of taxes. Personalize it. There's no reason why people can't phone call in there. Any office I know keeps track of the phone calls, who's for and against any bill. So you don't have to even get through a long conversation. Diane out there will say, Andy, you got 30 phone calls today on SB so-and-so. And I'll say, and she'll say, you know, 18 were this way, 12 were this way, but boy, there were a couple of people who were mad and they said they knew you, and you better go and talk to them. And most people I know by name in my district because I've been around so long. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's the strength of what you want to do. It's use your numbers, but use it wisely. Personalize your communication, make it clear that you vote, and get to each of the representatives and senators who haven't signed on. Now, finally, what often ends up here, you have to be a little patient with it. You have to stay fervent in the bill you want and what you want.
We've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah, you have to stay fervent. But everything gets into a mix here, all right? And if we accomplish your aim, all right, but not exactly the methodology, you have to be patient with it. In other words, they might decide to go up on income and down a little on sales, all right? Or they might decide, even though they might say that there might be a compromise in the end, which you'll hate, but it's better than a situation now which says, all right, no more than 5% of tax for any school district to come out of real estate. Now, you oppose it, you fight against it, but in the end, that's far better than 100%. So what I'm trying to tell you is everything here, I've never seen a bill that starts as A and up as A.
We didn't compromise on those things.
But I'm not telling you to compromise. I'm telling you your strength is not to compromise. But I'm saying to you, what I'm trying to say to you is that if you play this well and don't compromise, you'll come out with something that might not be 100%, but believe me, 90% and 95% is better than zero. You're starting with zero, and you're trying to get. I'm not urging you to change anything. I'm just trying to be realistic with you, saying that I again and again, you know, my job as a minority most of the time is to amend bills so that if I think something's bad, at least I don't get a whole stale loaf. I can get a half a loaf, that's good. And if you can get 95%, that's good. That's a major victory.
And there's a
But
lot
don't
of
ever say you're going to compromise. Keep fighting for what you want. That's the only way you'll get to the 95%.
And there is a lot that we are still willing to compromise on. The one area that we are not willing to compromise is that word elimination. If 5% of the property tax remains in the end, then this doesn't work. Because it will go back up again. That is the one thing where, and we're not being pig-headed, we are resolute.
No,
on the
I
elimination.
understand that, and you need to maintain your position. All I'm trying to say to you is that in the end, 95%, 98% is better than it is now. But the only way you'll get there is by refusing to compromise. The only way you get there is by being tough. But I've been here, 7 years,
absolutely.
and I know the forces you're going to have to deal with. So I will vote for the bill as it's worded. But I'm not positive if we can't get it. In other words, in order to get leadership to even move it, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna see us doing the best we can. But we don't control, only the leader. I'll be there in a minute. I'll be there in a minute. Only the leader controls the thing. So be very selective. Who controls the show? Who's finance chair in both parties? Who are the members of the finance committee now? Since it has to get out of committee. Who is the leadership? Who is in the leadership? Who are the 5 leaders in both parties? Who is the majority leader, the minority leader, the whip in both parties, which is second in command, the caucus chair, which is third in command. That's what you have to do. Now, if your issue was education, then I could play a big role for you. You see what I'm saying? Even though I wasn't, because I chair that committee. But the point is, I'll do the best I can. But I just have to be realistic on how the place works. And you know probably better than I. You've been at this for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that you compromise. In fact, you can't. You'll defeat yourself if you do. But all I am suggesting, we're right there, Dave. All I am suggesting, you gonna give me something?
I do, I'm sorry.
I will take care of it in a second. Just say, I'll call, just give the cell phone. All I am saying to you is fight as hard as you can. The idea is to get something that's either 100% or 90% and up out of this place. And that's a miracle. I've never seen Pennsylvania, any bill I've dealt with in Pennsylvania, snap like that. It goes incrementally. That doesn't mean that you compromise. It just means that you fight as hard as you can. And what I said to the papers, I said,
if we could get it to the floor of either one of the houses, or the House or the Senate.
they'll pass it. If you get it to the floor, it'll be passed because they'll be scared to death for you. The whole House is going, so the key is to get it to the floor. But it's not the members who make that decision. The members can fight for it. The members can fight for it. All right? But ultimately, it's the majority leaders that have to make that decision. So as a member, we work as hard as we can to achieve the goal. So first, who's on finance? How do you get to them? I believe Senator Brubaker, who is who has part of Chester County too, come to think of it. My God, you Chester County guys are really in power. You have your leaders out of here. Senator Brubaker has West Salisbury, West Fallowfield, Honeybrook Township, Honeybrook Borough. Don has most of southern Chester County now, and under the new district will gain East Goshen, West Goshen, and Newland. And still has Kennett Square and that area of the Pennsburys and the Marlboro, East Marlboro, I have West Marlboro. Ted Erickson is policy chair. Ted is part of Chester County as well as Town and East Town under the new scheme, though he's retiring, but he still has it now. So look it up, figure it out, yeah. Rafferty, Senator Rafferty is chair of transportation. He's not part of the leadership, but Senator Rafferty will have much of northern Chester County. He takes from me East Coventry and East Lakeland and East Vincent, and I get Coatesville Valley, South Coatesville, Modena from Senator Rafferty, and I give up a Montgomery. Where do you live?
Yeah.
Coatesville, I understand the problem all too well, and we have to begin to deal with it, because that, by the way, you know, your school district potentially is very close to having no money at all. It's very close to bankruptcy. The reason they survived this year is because we were able to get $1 million into it in a way that wasn't fair either, to be honest with you, because if you give money to certain districts, then other districts, as October and Oxford, doesn't get the money. But Coatesville was about ready to fall apart and had to be saved, and that was done. So that
We don't want to hold you up any longer.
That's okay.
We will continue to fight as you suggested. It's wonderful advice, we will do that. We hope that you will continue to fight for us.
No, we will. But what you have to do is give me your name and email so I know who to contact. Who's sort of the leaders? You're the leader, or anyone else?
Yeah, my email will be,
All right.
it's on your Facebook page.
Okay, but put it down anyway. Just put down today's date, and then I'll remember. Anyone else want to? I do know you, Mr. Moody, and so that's no problem. And you're in West Bradford Township, Thorndale, Marshallton Road?
You know my wife.
I do indeed.
She loves you.
I know most of the district. For those of you who haven't experienced me, you're going to see I'm a very different kind of senator. I come everywhere, you know, and you'll agree with me, sometimes disagree, but you'll see that I'm always open and not afraid to come to things. And not afraid to, by the way, learn that, like in this process. Because you can, you know, there are going to be some people who are going to be unhappy, especially people who have lots of
Special interest.
You got it,
Yeah.
you got
I
it.
had a good feeling this was going to happen.
Yeah, well, good to see you. Thank you.
And thank you
I
for
will. I'll
signing
stop
on.
down there. Thank you. You're welcome.
Whose brain? Abby someone. Abby someone. Abby who? Abby normal.